Great morning. Mike Fonseca here, man, reporting live from Miami. Once again, blessed day, beautiful morning it is indeed. Oh yeah, lovely morning in Miami. How y'all feeling today, man? We're here again once more for that morning mind fuel. Morning mind fuel. Walk with Mike. Today we're talking about something, man, that moves mountains, that creates kingdoms and legions of governors. And the word is the principle of discipline. Discipline, yeah. Discipline is so important. I decided to do a video just on that this morning. Actually, this video is very, very interesting because this is the hardest video I've ever had to do. I've been doing, I don't know if you've been following me, this is probably video number 14 or 15 that I've done. I've spoken in front of thousands of people for a living before COVID, and do workshops and, you know, as a strategist for salespeople. And so I'm used to talking to people. So this video is actually something I decided to do, a part of a journey that I'm taking now. And this one was the hardest because everything went out of the way a little bit today. Right? Went to sleep late. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day because I have this training that I'm going through, that, you know, mindset training. So it's a 4 a.m. Yes, it's a 4 a.m. every day. What? You don't do 4 a.m.s? Yeah, that's why you can't change your mind. That's one of the things that you have to understand, man. You have to be in control of this. My mind doesn't want to take a cold shower in the morning. I say, bitch, get up and take the shower because I'm in charge here. Right? When my body doesn't want to walk 5 miles every day in the morning. I don't care. My legs are going to walk these 5 miles. That's just the way it is. There's no cold and hot. It's made a decision and follow through it. No wishy-washy here. Right? So anyways, back to the discipline. This video is actually being hard because I woke up early, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I lost kind of track of time. Then things started going, the day started happening. That's why another reason why I start early, because there's nobody up at that time, right? So you get a few more hours of productive time before everybody else gets up. So anyhow, tumultuous morning. It was a little bit rushed, right? A little vibe was a little raw, hard. I took back to sleep. I failed today, yes. I don't have a problem saying I failed today. Instead of coming to exercise right after my video, I took a nap. I did take a nap. That's right. I took a nap. And now here I am. I wasn't gonna do the video today, but the discipline that I have committed to do this brought me here today. So I said, hey, you know what? Today's video is gonna be on discipline. And that's the most important thing that you can have, discipline and consistency. But today's a discipline day, so we're talking about discipline. So the discipline brought me here, right? The discipline is the code of human behavior. You wanna decode your non-discipline and encode your discipline. Got that? That's a pop, pop, pop moment right there. So, discipline, right? Self-control, because motivation goes away. Let me tell you a little bit about the motivation piece. Motivation goes away. I actually make the comparison. Motivation is like brushing your teeth. Oh, Brazil, one time for my Brazilians, Canadians, French, everybody in the house. Let's go. So motivation, right? You need it every day. Motivation. I can motivate you here, say good things. You go about your day and you lose it, right? Motivation needs constant stimulation. Motivation needs constant stimulation. And by that, it means that you actually need motivation to get started, but discipline is what keeps you going. So if you don't have the discipline, you won't be able to accomplish it just based on motivation, right? Because I say motivation is like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth one time and you don't have bad breath the whole week, right? You need to brush your teeth sometimes 3-4 times a day, and they still don't guarantee you good breath. So same thing goes with motivation, man. Even if you're patting your back all day long, right? If you're patting your back all day long, that doesn't mean that's gonna get you there, because some days things are gonna get in the way. Some day motivation's not gonna be enough, right? So you need the discipline to get you back out of that bad. And if you don't have discipline over this, then you won't have it any over your body. It's just that way. It works that way. And to train that discipline, I suggest you start doing things you don't like or don't want. If I can't, then I must. You got that? That's another code. Write it down. Metanoia code number 1001,003,015,100. Okay? You gotta understand that. The cold shower is you controlling, disciplining your brain to say, when I say go, you go. No questions asked. Oh, mic show. This is the mic show. When I say go, we go. We jump right now. Right? And obviously jump the right way, make the right decision so your brain can trust you. But anyhow, there's a couple of, when you think discipline, you think there's 3 types, right? So you have preventive, supportive, and corrective. So if you want to establish a behavior or break a habit or break a limited belief, then you need to either implement a preventive discipline for the trigger to prevent the trigger from happening. Understand, see the trigger, change it, right? And then be able to change it. Or you need a support. You also need a supportive, because once you change it, you need to repeat it, right? You need to practice, repeat it, so that it can stick, so it can become a behavior. It could become a habit. We are habitual creatures. And then as you go along and you lose your path, what do? Corrective discipline, right? You correct, you adjust the path. Proverbs 13:24. Discipline shall give you purpose and security. When you have discipline and you create patterns, behaviors that are positive, you also create security and purpose, right? You wake up with a purpose, you have a strategy, a mind, something that you're trying to achieve, and that gives you security, which is the most important part of human beings. It's like the basic, right? If you don't have security, everything else is gone. So long term, your discipline will yield you way better choices and outcomes, because it's what you sow, it's what you reap what you sow, right? So if you're not planting those seeds, you're not reaping them later. So the discipline for you to do it every day and plant it, that's what's going to give you later, because your life is a constant battle before your emotional and your logical brain, right? Most of us are living in an emotional brain, which is cool, because a lot of these blessed people, creative artists, they live in an emotional side. However, very fragile place to live, and some people don't have EQ, which is the emotional IQ, right? It's fragile, it's broken from experience, from life, from childhood, things like that. So because you don't have an EQ, a high EQ, and you live out of your EQ, you make bad decisions all the time. Then you wonder why you start things and you don't finish. You wonder why you can't get the things you want. So you have to understand that if you want the long-term better outcome, then you have to start looking into the emotions, the triggers, the things that are creating, right? Back here, remember? Creating your visual cortex. Your visual cortex is like the president, kind of, right? When you tell them something, it checks. If the information is good, they store it. If not, they say, hey, can't come in here, right? This information is not allowed. And that's the limiting belief, right? We talked about that as well. So discipline is the best way to condition and govern yourself. Okay? I'll tell you guys a little bit about something called the classical conditioning. Classical conditioning. Okay? You might have heard of this before. So classical conditioning is actually when you consistently do something with a stimuli and creates a behavior, a learned behavior. It gets to a point where you don't need the visual anymore to create. You don't need a stimuli to create the results, right? You just need the trigger. So let me explain. Pavlov goes into a room with a dog, a piece of steak and a bell. He goes in, he shakes the piece of steak. Actually, he rings the bell. Bing, 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 bing. Then he shows the dog the piece of steak. The dog salivates, right? That's normal. Sees the steak, he wants the steak. The brain's like, steak coming, saliva, dopamine levels, all over, right? Now, he does that for a certain amount of days, 21 days. Don't quote me, but get the message. On day 22, something changed, because he came in and he rang the bell, but he didn't have the steak. And guess what happened to the dog? That's right. He salivated. The dog salivated without seeing the steak. Why? Because at that point, his brain had already been conditioned to a trigger, meaning whenever I hear the bell, bling, 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 a steak comes next. So here's my saliva, right? And that's human behavior, man. That discipline literally creates that for you in your life, right? So learning through your actions, associations, and rewards, right? Actions, associations, and rewards. Look at the action, associate it to it with a trigger, right? And then reward it if you want to change it. Disrupt the trigger, create a new trigger, and then reward. Once you reward, you establish a pattern. Now repeat. Repeat and repeat and repeat. So the message today was amazing. And I want to close it out with the usual verse. I usually always get a verse, and today I'm going to go with John 3:16 through 17, right? It says, through discipline, a response becomes frequent or predictable through reinforcement or reward. So one of the interesting things you can get from the Pavlovian theory is that you can literally create a vibration that is higher than what you're vibrating right now. And some of you guys, listen, I don't want to be disrespectful. Some of you guys, I lost you along the way. That's okay, right? You just got to be open, right? If you're not understanding, don't make an affirmation, a negative affirmation. What you need to do is ask a question. Don't be ashamed. DM me if you feel like ashamed that, say, hey, I don't really got this. Can you really explain this? Sometimes our brains are not ready to understand that we're not in the same wavelength. You get me? So either you need to practice, ask the right questions, or questions, period, because all questions are good, and elevate. But some of y'all understand me exactly what I'm talking about here. Emotional versus logical. Most people are living in emotion. When I get up in the morning and I don't snooze my alarm button, that's win number one. When I go to the shower and I take a cold shower, win number two. I fix my bed before I get out of my room, win number three. And I do these small wins in the morning as a routine so that I can get my brain disciplined to winning one step at a time. And today we'll finish it up with John 3:16 through 17. That was God's biggest act of discipline. Biggest act of discipline. Most of us, I believe that all of us on earth is not worthy of such act of discipline like God did. Go read John 3:16 and tell me in the comments what you think. But go look for it. John 3:16, 17. That was God's biggest act of discipline. Are you disciplined enough to do that? Or even a 100,000 of a fifth of whatever piece of that? Are you able to do that, to have that kind of discipline? If you can just start implementing little steps every day, you also can build the discipline. Have a blessed day. Mike Fonseca here. Always a pleasure being with you guys. The word of the day is discipline. Let's do